Hi everyone, so we're back with another math lesson, continuing fractions, and this week is your last week of math. Woo! So we'll have 3 lessons this week, and then we'll be done with math. So today we're going to work on equivalent fractions using a number line. So last week we learned about equivalent fractions and how to find them. So now we're going to learn how to find them on a number line. So let me make myself smaller, and we are going to start with the solving chair. All right, so let me read it to you. It says the top number line shows a point at 1/4. Write the fraction for each of the points labeled A, B, C, D, E, and F. Which of these fractions show the same distance from 0 as 1/4? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to fill in A, B, C, D, E, F, because that's going to be the easiest place to start. So I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to remember my pattern and how I find the fractions on a number line. So here it's easy for me because the first fraction is already written out. So I know that this is 1/4, and I'm going to go in my pattern counting up. So if this is 1/4, this 1/4, this would be 2/4, 3/4, 4/4 equals a whole. So here I'm going to have 2/4, so I'll write that in. So we know 2/4 goes there. Now we're going to look at the next number line, and we see here that there are no numbers, but we can figure out what the fraction will be by using the amount of equal spaces that there are. So I'm going to count. If you see up here, it's in fourths, so there should be 4 equal parts. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Here I have 1, 2, 3. So we know that we're going to be working with thirds. So if I have this first one would be 1/3, and my next one would be 2/3. Here would be 3/3 or 1/2. So here we're going to have 2/3. So I'm going to write that in for you. There we go. Here we have 2/3. Same thing here. We're going to see how many equal parts we have. We have 1, 2. So 2 is going to be our denominator. And here is going to be 1. So it's going to be 1/2 or 1/2. So I'm going to write that in for you. There we go. Next one, we're going to count how many to find our denominator. We'll start with D and then we'll go to E. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we know that we're working with eighths. Let's see how many we have to go in. 1, 2. So D is going to be 2/8. So we have 2/8, and then we can just keep going. 3/8, 4/8, and we're going to put that in E. So we have that one done, and then we just have to do F. So again, I'm going to count my equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our denominator is going to be 6, and let's count how many we're in. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this here is going to say 4/6. Okay, so now we can see the entire number line, and now we're ready to answer what the question was. So the first thing that we needed to do was to fill in A, B, C, D, E, F, which we did. And now the second thing we have to do is answer the question. So the question says, which of these fractions shows the same distance from 0 as 1/4? Or what is an equivalent fraction to 1/4? Now, if you have all your number lines lined up like this, it is very simple, but I'm also going to show you another way to do this. So here we're just going to find 1/4. We have it right here. Let me circle it. So just put a green line under 1/4 so it's easy for us to see. So what we're just going to do for this one is we're just going to look down. Which one is in the same spot as 1/4? Oh, here we go. It looks like 2/8 is in the same spot. So this is how we're going to write it. So if you look right here, I put 1/4 is equal to 2/8. Now, what I want you to do is to pay attention to these two fractions. We're going to zoom in because sometimes you will not have number lines that are right on top of each other and making it very easy for you. So I want you to take a look and remember how we made equivalent fractions the last time using multiplication. So if you see here, you have a 1 and a 4. So 1 times what equals 2, 1 times 2 equals 2, and 4 times 2 equals 8. So we know that that is an equivalent fraction because what we do to the top, we have to do to the bottom. Now I want to show you how you can do it backwards. If you use division, you can do 2 divided by 2 equals 1, and 8 divided by 2 equals 4. So that's another way to check yourself to make sure that you are correct. So I'm going to do a couple more examples for you, and then I'll see you in the next video. All right, so we're going to look at example number 3 first, and it says, in 3 and 4, write 2 fractions that name the same location on the number line. So first we need to figure out what the fraction is that we're going to work with. So very simple, this one's already done for us, so we can just look at the pattern and stick ours in there. So we have 6 is our denominator, so we have 1/6, 2/6, what's going to go here? 3/6. All right, so we have that down, 3/6. So now what it wants us to do is it wants us to write another fraction that is the same location on the number line. So we're going to have different numbers. So this is what I like to do, and you can do it however you want, really. But I would suggest just doing it this way because it makes it super easy. I'm just going to use multiplication, and I'm going to use my multiplication by multiplying by 2 to the numerator and the denominator to find an equivalent fraction that would be exactly the same. So here I'm going to do 3 times 2 and 6 times 2, and let's see what that's going to be. Actually, I changed my mind. You can do the multiplication, but you're going to end up with a larger number fraction. This time, like I just said in our earlier example, I'm going to use division, and I'm going to actually divide, and I'm not going to divide by 2. I'm going to look at the top number and the bottom number and realize that 3 and 6 is a multiple of 3. So I know that I can divide by 3 and come up with a fraction. So that is equivalent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3 divided by 3 and 6 divided by 3. And when I come back, I want you to have the answer. So dun dun dun, our answer is 1/2 or 1/2. Now you can check this by you have 6. You have 6 here. So here I have 1, 2, 3, and on the other side I have 1, 2, 3. So we know that 3/6 is right in the middle, and that would be considered 1/2. So here, also, when you did 3 divided by 3 equals 1, 6 divided by 3 equals 2. I hope that made sense. I know that might have been a little confusing with me saying the multiplication thing, but you can do it that way too. You'll just get a higher number. So down here, we're going to write that 3/6 equals 1/2. So there you go, and you see that you now have a fraction that has the same location on the number line, or an equivalent fraction. 3/6 is also equal to 1/2. If I was to do it the multiplication way, mine would have been, if I did 3 times 2, that would have been 6, and then 6 times 2 is 12, so I would have had 6/12, which is also an equivalent fraction to 3/6. So either way you want to do it, sometimes it's just easier to do division if the fraction is going to have smaller numbers. So let's move on to example number 4. All right, so here we go, number 4. We're doing the same thing. The first thing that we need to do is find the fraction, and then we're going to find basically an equivalent fraction that would have the same spot on a number line. So here we see that we have eighths, but we already, in this one, they're giving us equivalent fractions to the eighths that are on the number line. So here we have 1/4, 2/4, and then this one's also green, so that means that we should be able to figure it out with the pattern. So I'm going to show you with the pattern and then show you another way how you can figure it out. So we have here, we have 0, we have 1/4, 2/4, and this would be 3/4, but the first thing that we have to do, I'm getting way too ahead of myself here. This is the last week and my brain is melting. So what we need to do here first, let me backtrack, take a deep breath. So I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, first thing we need to do is eighths. We need to figure out what goes here. So let's use the pattern. We have 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8. This would be 6/8. So let me write that. All right, so now we are back on track. Forget what I said there because I don't want to edit it out, but it's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. So here we go. We got our 6/8. It goes with our pattern 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it has our denominator, which is eighths. So we are perfect. So now we can look at the fact that they gave us equivalent fractions to other fractions on this number line that can help us. So you see the green here, and we're going to use that pattern to help us. So we see here, this is 1/4, 2/4, another green, this would be 3/4. So let me write that. So here we go. So this one gave us the equivalent fractions already that helped us. But if you see here, if you did use division, you could do 6 divided by what is 3, 2, 8 divided by what is 4, 2, remembering that what we do to the top, we do to the bottom, and we have 3/4. So we know that we checked it a couple different ways, so we know that this is definitely an equivalent fraction and would have the same spot on a number line. So the same thing here, what we're going to do is we're going to write 6/8 equals 3/4. So here we go, 6/8 equals 3/4, and we know that they are equivalent fractions because they have the same spot on a number line, and also we used division to check ourselves. All right, so those are most of the problems that you'll probably see on the quick check. If you need any help, please let me know. Sorry about that little confusion, but everybody makes mistakes. It's okay. So I will see you in my next video. Bye.